The story of Jesus writing in the sand is one of the most intriguing and mysterious passages in the Bible. It's found in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verses 1 to 11. This incident occurs during a confrontation between Jesus and a group of Pharisees who brought to him a woman caught in the act of adultery. The Pharisees, who were the religious leaders of the time, wanted to test Jesus and see how he would respond to this situation. They knew that according to the Mosaic law, the woman should be stoned to death for her sin. But they wanted to see if Jesus would uphold this harsh punishment or show mercy. So they placed the woman in front of Jesus and said, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say?" John 8 verses 4 to 5. This was a trap. If Jesus said she should be spared, they could accuse him of going against the law. But if he said she should be stoned, it would go against his reputation as a merciful and compassionate teacher. Rather than immediately answering their question, the Bible says that Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. John 8 verse 6. This simple action has sparked endless speculation and debate among scholars and theologians over the centuries. What was Jesus writing? And why did he do it in that moment? Some believe he was simply stalling for time, buying himself a few moments to carefully consider his response. Others suggest he may have been writing down the sins of the Pharisees themselves, exposing their own hypocrisy. After all, they were quick to condemn the woman, but conveniently ignored their own moral failings. Whatever the reason, the Pharisees continued to press Jesus, demanding that he give them an answer. Finally, Jesus straightened up and said, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." John 8 verse 7. This response completely shifted the dynamic. Instead of focusing on the woman's sin, Jesus turned the spotlight back on the Pharisees and challenged them to examine their own lives and moral standing. He essentially disarmed them, forcing them to confront their own imperfections and hypocrisy. The Bible then says that at this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. John 8 verse 9. One by one, the Pharisees dropped their stones and walked away, realizing that they were not without sin themselves. Finally, Jesus spoke directly to the woman. "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one, sir." Jesus then said, "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." John 8 verses 10 to 11. This incredible story demonstrates Jesus' wisdom, compassion, and ability to cut through religious hypocrisy. Instead of condemning the woman, he offered her forgiveness and a chance at redemption. It's a powerful example of Jesus' revolutionary approach to sin and judgment. But what was so significant about the fact that Jesus wrote something in the sand? Why did he choose to do that in that particular moment? That's where things get really fascinating. There are a few key things we need to understand about this incident. First, it's important to note that writing in the sand was not a common practice in that time and place. The Pharisees and the woman would have been utterly perplexed by Jesus' strange behavior. Typically, if someone wanted to record something permanently, they would have written it on a scroll or a tablet using ink or a stylus. Writing in the sand was seen as something trivial and ephemeral. The words would be washed away by the next tide or gust of wind. So the fact that Jesus chose to write in the sand, rather than addressing the Pharisees directly, is highly significant. It suggests that whatever he wrote was not meant to be a lasting record, but rather a fleeting message or symbol with deep meaning. Scholars have proposed various theories about what exactly Jesus wrote in the sand. Some believe he may have been writing out the sins of the Pharisees, as mentioned earlier. Others think he may have been drawing symbols or diagrams to illustrate his point. One intriguing theory is that he may have been writing the names of the woman's accusers. This would tie in with his challenge for the one without sin to cast the first stone. By writing down their names, he may have been inviting them to step forward and identify themselves as righteous enough to carry out the punishment. But perhaps the most compelling theory is that Jesus was actually writing down the 10 Commandments in the sand. This would have been a profound and symbolic act, reminding the Pharisees and the woman of God's eternal moral law. You see, the Pharisees were so focused on enforcing the letter of the law that they had lost sight of its true spirit. They were quick to condemn the woman for her sin, but they had conveniently ignored their own transgressions. By writing the 10 Commandments in the sand, Jesus may have been making a powerful statement that true righteousness is not about perfectly keeping a set of rules, but about cultivating a heart that is in right relationship with God and others. The commandments were never meant to be a legalistic checklist, but a framework for living a life of love, mercy, and justice. And the fact that he wrote them in the sand rather than on a permanent surface would have been a symbolic reminder that God's law, while eternal, is not meant to be rigidly applied with self-righteous condemnation. It's meant to be written on our hearts, guiding us with grace and wisdom as we navigate the complexities of life. In this way, Jesus' actions in the sand would have been a dramatic rebuke of the Pharisees' narrow and legalistic interpretation of the law. He was essentially saying, "You're so focused on enforcing the rules that you've lost sight of the heart behind them. You're treating the commandments like they're carved in stone, when in reality, they're meant to be written in the sand, flexible, adaptable, and always pointing us back to the loving, merciful nature of God." This radical shift in perspective would have been deeply unsettling for the Pharisees. They were so accustomed to wielding the law as a weapon to control and condemn others. But Jesus was turning the tables, using the very same law to expose their own hypocrisy and lack of compassion. And the fact that he wrote it in the sand, rather than on a permanent surface, would have been a powerful symbol of the ephemeral nature of human judgment and condemnation. Just as the words in the sand would be washed away, so too would the Pharisees' self-righteous verdict on the woman. In the end, Jesus' response demonstrated a radically different understanding of sin, judgment, and the true purpose of God's law. Rather than condemning the woman, he offered her grace and a chance at redemption. And by writing in the sand, he revealed the shallow and transient nature of the Pharisees' legalistic approach to morality. This incredible story has so much to teach us about the heart of God and the kind of people we are called to be. It challenges us to move beyond a narrow, rule-based understanding of faith and instead embrace a deeper, more transformative way of living. Rather than rigidly enforcing a set of commandments, we are called to cultivate hearts that are aligned with God's own heart of love, mercy, and justice. We're called to look beyond the outward appearance of sin and see the deeper, more complex realities of the human condition. And we're called to offer grace and forgiveness, even to those who have fallen short, just as Jesus did for the woman caught in adultery. In a world that is so often quick to judge and condemn, the story of Jesus writing in the sand stands as a powerful reminder of the transformative power of grace. It's a testament to the truth that true righteousness is not about perfection, but about the posture of our hearts. And it's a challenge for us to follow in Jesus' footsteps, to lay down our stones of judgment and instead extend the same compassion and mercy that he showed to the woman that day. So what was Jesus writing in the sand? The answer may never be fully known. But the impact of his actions, and the profound message they conveyed, will continue to resonate with believers for generations to come. It's a story that invites us to let go of our self-righteousness, to embrace the transformative power of grace, and to become the kind of people who write God's law not on stone, but on the shifting sands of our hearts.